about how severely he screwed my life up. I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink anything without feeling pain and pain, so pain. And I get blamed for feeling this way. And it is just ridiculous how someone can hurt you so much, and just expect you to move on from it and not care and just move on, like as if nothing happened. And I will never wish this pain on anyone.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Everything revolves around her pain, her suffering, her tragedy. But what about him? Where is his side of the story? Where is the context of what really happened? When a man leaves or makes a decision that doesn't benefit the woman, he automatically becomes the villain. It doesn't matter what led him there. It doesn't matter if he also suffered, if he was also broken, if he was also hurt. The only thing that matters is how she feels. The worst part is that now she seeks validation instead of accountability. Because in this narrative, the man never has legitimate reasons. He is always the culprit, and she is always the victim.
I'm 24, single mom of 2, and I just lost everything. Hi, my name's Bria, nice to meet you. That was me about 3.5 years ago. Went through a very, very ugly divorce, walked away with absolutely nothing but my 2 precious children, and I'd do it all over again. So, little bit about me. I was a very successful destination wedding photographer and built my business from the ground up. I ended up buying a beautiful horse property house to raise my children at, and realized that the person I was with was not the person that I should be spending my life with. So I decided to file for divorce. Well, me being me, having a huge heart of gold, I decided my money was our money. And he decided his money was his money. So I opened a joint bank account that had all of our money in it. I paid for the down payment of the house. Girls, learn from me and do not make my mistake. So, when I decided to leave, he decided to take everything. I left with absolutely nothing to my name. I left in a U-Haul. I moved from California to Florida in a U-Haul. And no car, because he wanted to make sure all the cars were in his name and not mine, aka power. Do not let a man do that to you, okay? Make sure you are on there as a co-signer. You're on there just by yourself. Well, me being me and me being young, thinking love is love and no one would do anything to hurt you, false. So, I left with about $10,000 to my name, a U-Haul full of everything, and my 2 children.
Oh, hell no!
I realized that the person I was with was not the person I was meant to spend my life with. So I decided to file for divorce. There's the key. She doesn't mention abuse, infidelity, or an unsalvageable problem. She simply decided she no longer wanted to be married and left her husband and children in chaos. Then, she complains that he kept all the money, the cars, and the stability. But who decided to break up the family? If he had been the one to file for divorce, he would be the worst man in the world. But when she does it, it magically becomes a brave decision. She wanted independence, but when reality hit, suddenly the problem is that he didn't keep supporting her.
I spent about 4 months using my double stroller as a car for 4 months, I would say. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with a blow-up mattress for another 4 months because it took a while for me to get from absolutely nothing back on my feet because, mind you, I lost my photography business as well because of COVID. So COVID happened, weddings got shut down, I stepped away. So now here's this single mom of 2, basically homeless, thinking life is never going to get better. How did I get here and how do I get out of it? So there was days, weeks, months where I'm crying my eyes out because I didn't have enough to buy food just for breakfast. I didn't have enough for anything. And I'm just here to tell you that if you keep pushing and you keep believing in yourself, everything's going to be okay. It's going to work out in your favor. I'm still not, now I'm 27, so 3 years later, 3.5 years later, because I'm going to be 28 in like 2 days. But I'm still not where I want to be in life. However, I'm a lot closer to where I want to be in life because of the fact that no matter how impossible it felt, I refused to give up. I refused to take the easy way out and just say, this is the cards that God gave me. No, I said, I don't like these cards and I'm going to do everything in my power to get out of this. So if you need support, if you need help, if you need anything, feel free to reach out to me because I love supporting other females. If you need a job, I'm hiring. I will give you a job. Like, literally anything that you need, I will help you with because I've been there and I had absolutely no one and it sucked. So, this is just your reminder to keep going no matter how hard it gets.
I spent about 4 months using my double stroller as a car. Of course, because chasing her happiness was more important than giving her children stability. They lived on an air mattress because mom decided that her personal fulfillment was worth more than her family's security. Now, after dragging her children into ruin, she sells the story as one of overcoming adversity. But what about the damage she caused? There's no mention of what her children lost, of how the separation affected their lives. Everything revolves around her, her struggle, her story. She destroyed her family over a whim, and now she expects applause for making it through.
So the other day, my husband, who I've been married to for 17 years, but am now going to be divorcing, told me that marrying me was the biggest mistake he's made in his life. And I responded to it with like sarcasm and kind of snark, like me, like marrying me, I'm the biggest mistake that you've ever made. Because that's how I usually have responded to those types of comments that he makes over the years. But later on, afterward, I kind of sat in my room and I actually cried. I cried about it, like sobbed, actually. And I thought to myself that this is actually a good sign because I have spent so many years in our marriage listening to comments like that. You've ruined my life. You took all my money. You're the worst person. And I've like numbed myself to it over the years. Like I just kind of numbed myself or made excuses like, oh, he's just stressed, he's angry, or he's, going through a lot. And I just kind of went along with it but to get through it, I just kind of had to numb myself. And I guess in a way, like had to diminish my own humanity to not let these things get to me. So I wouldn't like fall apart. I had 2 kids to raise, a family to keep going. Like I couldn't afford to be hurt. You know what I mean? Now that I don't want to be married anymore, I am really telling myself that it's time for me to reclaim my humanity. And that means that there's going to be things that are going to be said to me that are going to hurt me. And I'm going to go ahead and like absorb that hurt. I'm going to feel the feelings. I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not going to intellectualize. I'm just going to feel it. Let my emotions freely flow. And if that means I cry, I cry. If that means I get angry, I get angry. I'm going to feel again. I'm going to be a human being again. And that's probably one of the things I'm looking forward to in this entire process is I just want to be a person again.
17 years of marriage, and the only thing that matters is how she felt. But she never says what she did. Was she really an exemplary wife? Or does she just expect him to remember her fondly, no matter the damage she may have caused? Her husband told her that marrying her was the biggest mistake of his life. A statement like that doesn't come out of nowhere. If he says she ruined his life, took his money, and was the worst person, why doesn't she talk about what led to that point? Maybe he's better off without her, but she never mentions that because in her story, only she matters, only she suffers, only she deserves empathy.
So, just to be totally transparent with y'all, I've been feeling like these little pockets of sadness lately, like throughout my day. Like, it'll just be like, oh, do you remember you and your ex used to do this? Or like, oh, do you remember And it's frustrating because I feel like I'm past that point of like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm past any point, honestly. I'm just trying to let healing come and go. But something I saw on TikTok last night, it was like a quote, and it talked about how you don't just let go once. You let go again, and then again, and then again, and then again. And that really helped me. Like, it's talking about how you let go when you see their favorite soup on sale and you don't buy it. Like, you let go when you, like, it's the anniversary of, you know, something with them. You let go when, like, you see something that they used to love or whatever it may be. And I don't know, that made me feel like, honestly, just a lot better, because I want to remind y'all that it's okay to be sad. I think I'm very much type A, so I'm very like, I want to be over this. Like, it's this, like, it's been 3 months, so it's this. It's been 6 months, but it's not like that. It's so, it's just okay to be sad. It's okay to give yourself grace and, you know, don't stay in that sadness, but it's okay to have moments of sadness. And I want to remind you that. So just know that I'm always here for you, and it does get better, but also allow yourself to feel your feelings.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Every memory, every moment of sadness is just remorse in disguise. Because if she were truly sure of her decision, she wouldn't be stuck in this cycle of letting go and holding on over and over again. What she doesn't say is that he was probably right all along. Back then, she ignored his warnings, dismissed his efforts, and now, after he's gone, she realizes what she lost. But of course, instead of admitting it, she turns it into a healing process to keep justifying her own choice.
Every girl's worst nightmare pretty much happened to me in my last relationship. He left me for a girl he was friends with our entire relationship. And I did one of the hardest things in the world to do after that. And I asked myself, why do I keep getting my heart broken? I'm not saying I deserved that or that any girl does, but what I realized that I thought might be helpful to share is that I am drawn to broken people. And I think a lot of us are. I have this natural thing in my heart where I want to take care of people and make them whole. And I think when we do that, we attract very shitty people. People that take advantage of the kindness that we give them. People that know they can cheat the whole relationship. They can use us for our money, whatever the case is. But do you want to know what I tell myself now? I deserve a whole, healed, and genuine heart. And I will find that if I keep being that. But you have to be smart and you have to look for it, because broken hearts suck.
I'm attracted to broken people, but he was the one who left you for someone else. So, who was really broken here? Saying that you were used and deceived throughout the entire relationship sounds more like an excuse than self-reflection. The reality is that if you're drawn to certain types of people, it's not that they're the problem. It's that you keep choosing them. But of course, it's easier to blame the broken ones than to admit that the pattern keeps repeating because your selection hasn't been the best.
What kind of world do we live in where a normal, regular girl cannot find just a regular guy out here to date? Because these guys don't want a real woman. They want a fantasy. They want to live in this fake fantasy world. They would rather jack off to some screen, to some robot, rather than actually deal with a real human being and what comes with that. You know why? Because it's easier. And I am done. I'm done.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
What kind of world do we live in where a normal girl can't find a normal guy? Easy. A world where women chase the 666 of the apocalypse, 6 feet tall, making 6 figures and rocking a 6-pack. The 666 from hell. Then they complain that normal guys aren't available. Men don't live in a fantasy. They simply see reality. If they don't meet that impossible standard, they're invisible. But of course, it's always their fault. Never the dating market inflated by unrealistic expectations.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but this is for you. One day, they will look back and regret everything they had put you through. The way they mistreated you, the way they hurt you, the way they abandoned you, the way they neglected you, everything that they've ever done to you, they will regret. I don't care if he or she was a narcissist or not. The feeling of guilt and regret will hit them. And they will look for you in every other person they meet, but you won't be found. Do you know why? Because there's only one you, and that is your power. And this is why you need to stop comparing yourself to other people, because they can never be you. This is your uniqueness and your power. They will miss the way you loved them. You took care of them. You nurtured them. You were loyal and faithful to them. They will look for all these attributes and characteristics in other people, but they won't be found because there is only one you. Now, I need you to let go of that man or that woman that did you wrong, because they were not worthy of you in the first place. And God saved you, because rejection is God's protection. And God has someone so much better out there for you that will come into your life at the perfect time. You don't need to go out there seeking and looking for it. It will find you at the right time. The right man or woman will come into your life. They will treat you like absolute royalty. They will know your worth and value. You don't even have to tell them what to do, teach them how to treat you. They will just know what to do, because they would have been ordained and sent to you by God to love and treat you as the woman or man of God that you are. It's time to let them go. It's time to focus on your relationship with God and to focus on your relationship with yourself, and let all these blessings come to you, chase you, and overtake you, as scripture says.
Rejection is God's protection. Funny how that divine revelation only comes after the guy they wanted leaves them. Suddenly, it's all about spirituality and self-love. But when they had options, God's protection wasn't exactly a priority. Remember, brothers, once they hit their 30s, they find spirituality, because they've hit the wall, and the wall doesn't forgive. Now it's God will provide. But before, they were only looking for someone who checked off the 666 list.
This might be dramatic. I'm not saying that it's not. Is anyone else just tired of dating? I literally just sat in my car for 20 minutes crying because I'm so tired of pointless conversations and meaningless interactions with people that go absolutely nowhere. And by the way, no one has hurt my feelings. Nothing has happened to trigger this except for me just realizing, like, what is the point? Truly, like, no one dates with intention and actually wants anything serious, and it's just like constant disappointment, and I'm just tired of having that negative energy in my life. But I also feel like I'm getting older, and it's like I have to put some effort into dating or I'm just gonna be alone forever. But now I'm just honestly getting to a point where I'm just gonna be the single aunt, and I think I'm okay with that.
I'm tired of meaningless conversations and empty interactions with people that lead nowhere. Well, maybe the problem isn't dating itself, but who you choose to date. If you always end up with guys who only want fun, the solution is simple. Stop dating the Chads. But of course, when those same guys were exciting, the drama was worth it. Now that time is passing. Suddenly you want something serious, and somehow, it's men's fault?
So I just got back from a really, really wonderful date with a seemingly really wonderful man. And he dropped me off. I come inside and I just start crying. I'm like, why am I so upset when I just had such a great date with this guy? Like, why am I so upset? And I realize it's because I haven't had a really good date in a long, long time where I genuinely connected with a person, and I'm scared. It's weird. It's like my body and my mind doesn't know how to process it because I'm so used to getting hurt. I've never experienced a good relationship or a healthy relationship. I've always been hurt. And I've been single for so long. More so because I needed to be single. I needed to heal from all of these traumatic, toxic relationships. And I've been praying for this kind of relationship for so long. I met this guy on Hinge months ago and I never gave him the time of day. And after my dad passed last month, I told him, I said, I'm sorry. I know we matched and I know I gave you my number, but I just don't have it in me to date someone seriously right now. And I really never thought that I would talk to him again, but his tenacity, he's just been reaching out and checking on me from time to time, and I would respond days later. And normally any other guy would just stop talking to me, but he didn't. He kept trying. In the last few days, before I even met him, we've been talking on the phone and FaceTiming, and before I even met him, he's been sending me food every day, and he's been sending me flowers and just like really beautiful letters. And I'm like, what's the catch? Like, guys like this don't exist, or do they? Or again, like, what is the catch? Like, I almost feel like it's too good to be true. Like, normal chivalrous things are too good to be true in my eyes. He shows up for the date with another bouquet of flowers and the most thoughtful fucking gift I could have ever asked for. On my Hinge profile, I mentioned how much I love Cinnabons. This guy, even though he was taking me out to dinner, brought me a bouquet of flowers and 2 boxes of Cinnabons from the Cinnabon store because he remembered I said that on my Hinge profile. And I just want to take this time to like normalize for women and men that have been mistreated in the past and have had unhealthy relationships and have been cheated on and hurt. And we've never experienced anything healthy that when we do experience it, we just don't know what to do with ourselves. And I'm trying so hard to be happy for myself right now. I'm trying so hard to be happy. But all my mind is doing is saying, he's going to hurt you though. Keep your expectations low. And I hate that. I should be celebrating the fact that I had a lovely date with a lovely man who was so kind to me and so thoughtful and so generous. And here I am on my living room floor crying because I think he's just going to hurt me. And then there's like the part of me that's like, you don't even deserve this because I'm so used to being treated otherwise. So I never thought that I deserved this treatment. And now that it's happening, I'm like overwhelmed. If there's anyone else who understands or resonates with this, just know that it's okay to feel all of these feelings, and we do deserve the best. Even though we've never experienced it, we do need to have faith and have hope. God, I'm so scared.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
I had a wonderful date with a wonderful man, and I started crying. There it is, served on a silver platter. It's not fear. It's lack of interest. She's just not into him. This man did everything right. Flowers, dinner, thoughtful details, endless patience. But her reaction isn't happiness. It's an existential crisis. Brothers, I've said it many times. Genuine interest is non-negotiable. This woman talked to him because she was bored, and he, like any simp, kept trying. Not because she wanted him, but because she needed a distraction. The irony? These are the same women who end up breaking good men. They come with unresolved baggage, chase the chads, and when they finally meet a nice guy, they hurt him because they can't handle that much love and attention. You know why she's crying? Because she doesn't like him. If she did, she'd be making a completely different video. One where she's gushing about how excited she is. Her tears aren't from joy. They're from disappointment, because she's with a man who has everything she says she wants, but who doesn't make her feel a thing.
I am trying to keep it all together, but I don't know if I can. There are good days and there are bad days. And the bad days just makes me feel like everything is falling apart. And there's nothing I can do about it. And I just want this feeling to go away. I don't want to keep feeling like this. I wish I could just erase this memory. I'm tired. I'm tired of I just want to see my dad. I don't know what to do anymore. just wish this feeling would go away. I wish I could make it stop. Just some way, somehow. Just erase my memory. Just go into some forgotten world. I just want to be at peace.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
This woman is going through a divorce, and as always, she blames the man for leaving her. She plays the victim, but brothers, there are clear signs that explain exactly why a man decides to walk away. A man's instincts don't lie. This man noticed something before making his decision, and in the next video, we'll see what it was. But I want you to pay attention to how she dramatizes the whole process. She talks about her separation as if it were a death, as if she were the only one suffering. When we know that pain in a divorce is not exclusive to women, remember my words. On the wedding day, only one person marries for love, the man. The woman does it for stability and lifestyle. Now, check out the next video, where this woman is suffering so much, but doesn't take long to get over it.
They say that an ending of a relationship is much like a death, and in many cases, the sadness is even greater. Because when someone has died, there's often a completion and an understanding that just doesn't occur when both people are still on this earth, but separated. It was so morbid to me to feel like I had to grieve the loss of you like you were gone, but the truth is,
I kept my head down grinding, looked up and realized it. It's been a year, and I ain't saying it ain't been a good one. It's been a day a lot more than I thought I could want. It's been...
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Wasn't she supposed to die without him? Brothers, you can't make this shit up. I've always said it. Crocodile tears. They sell us the story that she's the only one suffering, but look where she ended up. From being married to a man one day to being with a woman the next? That's not a sudden change. This had been brewing for a while. This man definitely saw the signs that he was just a cover-up, and now she turns him into the villain of her little self-growth story. But the truth is different. He was the one who got scammed. He was the one who actually married for love. He was the one used to hide a truth. I hope he finds a better wife because what he had was a lie. Remember, brothers, when Little Red Riding Hood tells the story, the wolf is always the bad guy.
If she gave you a guilt-free pass to sleep with anybody, would you take it?
No, sir. You might get one pass, but at the end of the day, you want one wife. And this is the life I want. So no.
Okay. Now what about you if he gave you one?
If you gave me a guilt-free pass, I would take it.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Sorry.
That's crazy.
Who would you take it with?
Lindy Waters the third?
They don't even know who that is. That's their problem. Yup.
Who else?
Barry Sanders. I'm in love with him.
What do you think those men have over your men?
They're professional athletes.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh, I do not know how that man was still hugging her. Even after he gave his answer, his amazing answer, his wife has no problem disrespecting him. This man is very quickly having to go from this is the love of his life, it's his wife that he's going to be with forever, to she's not the one. Hence why he just says, that's crazy. He very quickly realizes that she never loved him. She just knew that he loved her. But he's a good man. He doesn't need to go on the attack back because she ripped his heart out. He knows that he's a good man, and he knows that it's not worth the fight. It's not worth the discussion. He just knows that he deserves better.
This man should have left her on the spot. When a man wins an award or is in public, the honorable thing to do is acknowledge his wife and show respect. That's what men with integrity do. Do you ever see women doing the same? This woman failed at the most basic level. Instead of showing respect for her boyfriend, she mentioned 2 men she'd sleep with. If she responds like that in public, imagine what she does in private. This is the kind of woman who, if she marries you, will cheat when she's bored, when she travels, or whenever she gets the chance. Because if she can't even respect you over a simple question, she sure as hell won't when she has a real opportunity to betray you.
I'm going to tell you why breaking up with somebody in your 30s is actually a really good thing. I am somebody who has had 3 breakups in my 30s, so I have definitely got some stuff to say on this. 1 was my marriage, and 2 were medium to long-term relationships. Firstly, I always think it's a really good thing in life when you can see that something isn't working anymore. You need to walk away from it. It's not for you anymore. You need to make a change. That is, of course, unless you were the one that got dumped. And one of my experiences, I got dumped. So in that case, you have no choice. But still, you can decide what happens after that. So many people stay in unhappy relationships for so many different reasons. Financial, being scared of being by themselves, being scared of what people will say, being scared of what their family will say, guilt, kids, all those kind of things. So if you can walk away from something with your head held high, I think it's a good thing. Also, you get to decide who you want to be. So you may have been somebody that you perhaps didn't like or didn't feel like you were fulfilling your potential in this relationship. Now that you're single, it gives you a chance to look at yourself, look at what you want to do, look at who you want to be, and look at where you want to go. You will really get to know yourself better than you have ever got to know yourself. I feel like in your 30s, especially as a woman, that is when you really kind of get to know who you are. There is nothing like getting to know who you are after a breakup. Whether you called it or they called it, it's very confronting. So use this time to get to know yourself.
What a terrible piece of advice. This woman has had 3 serious relationships, a failed marriage, and 2 long-term relationships. Who knows how many more she's not even mentioning? She's been left more than once. She has a divorce, a child, and 2 men have already walked away from her. A mature person would stop and reflect on what the problem is. But instead of taking responsibility, she'd rather go find herself, which, in other words, means staying single and living it up. She's been through a marriage and multiple long-term relationships, yet she still doesn't know who she is. Well, my friend, you've hit the wall, and the wall doesn't forgive.
I know so many people say this. It's probably like, but I don't want to be on my own. I want to be with somebody, or I want to be with that person. Use it to figure out who you are, what you enjoy doing, and what you want to be doing. Also, you get to decide who you want to be with or who you don't want to be with next. Now, this is really important. You may feel like you've failed at a relationship, like you're getting a little bit older and you didn't see yourself in this position. However, we learn from every single relationship that we're in. So this is your time to go, I don't want to repeat that. I don't want somebody like that in my next relationship. This is what I do want. I always feel like from breakups, this is where you learn what you do want and what you don't want in your next relationship. And finally, this is going to be one of the biggest learning curves you will ever go through. So, first of all, it's going to be the hard stuff. It's going to be that awful phase where you're really, really upset. You can't stop thinking about them. You don't know how you're going to get through the day without them. All that kind of really sad, depressing stuff where you're eating chocolate, you're not leaving the house, you just feel like crap. But you know what? You've got to go through that bit to get the good bit, okay? And the good bit is coming. You just need to be a little bit patient. So guys, if you are somebody who is going through a breakup in your 30s, a divorce in your 30s, perhaps you're feeling like you are not where you want to be at the moment and you're wondering how you got here, drop me a comment and you know what? We'll get through it together. And take it from me, somebody who has been through 3 breakups in her 30s, you're going to be just fine.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
And then they wonder why they're single. If a woman has had good men and a divorce in her past, she should be asking herself, what am I doing wrong? Either she has terrible taste in men, or she has a problem that makes her unbearable. The logical thing would be to go to therapy, analyze her patterns of failure, and make a change. But no, she sticks to the same mindset. Now she's older, more tired, in her 30s, still trying to live the single life, without realizing she no longer has the same advantages she did in her 20s. At some point, she should grow up. But we all know responsibility is kryptonite for women.
I was the lawyer for the woman who signed her prenuptial agreement left-handed so that if she ever wanted to divorce him and take his money, she could argue that that wasn't her signature. So we get into the deposition and her husband's legal team is like, hey, we've got the prenup signed right here. I don't know why you think you're getting any money. And she's like, I absolutely did not sign that document. I don't know what that document is. I've never seen that document in my life. And the husband's like, are you really going to go make us get a handwriting expert to come in here and validate this thing in front of the judge? And she's like, sure, go get a handwriting expert. So they bring in a handwriting expert and the guy's looking at the signature and he's looking at her handwriting and he's like, yeah, this doesn't match at all. The husband's lawyer's getting pretty frustrated. He's like, okay, no big deal. We're just going to call in the notary and have her come in and validate that you signed this paperwork. What the husband's legal team did not know is that the notary that the wife recommended they use when they signed the prenup was her best friend from college. So the notary rolls into the deposition and she knows she's going to help her girl get some money here. So she's like, no, she did not sign this. I mean, did you guys even look at the handwriting? It doesn't even look the same. We walked out of that divorce settlement with half of this guy's money and then she took the notary and they flew to Turks and Caicos and partied for the better part of 3 months.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
This is basically a robbery in a suit and tie. I mean, the woman deliberately signed the prenup with her left hand so she could later claim it wasn't her signature, brought in her best friend as a notary to validate the scam, and in the end, walked away with half the guy's money. And the worst part? They talk about it like it's some kind of epic achievement. If the roles were reversed, with a man setting up a trap like this to steal from his ex-wife, we'd be talking about fraud, manipulation, and who knows what else. But since it's a woman, it's a master move. The lesson here? If you're a man with money, don't just sign a prenup, sign two, record the process, and bring your own notary, because the system isn't built to protect you.
So I thought tonight might be as good a time as any to tell you guys what happened the night I finally kicked my ex-husband out of the house. So this was the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and we had been invited to one of his friends' homes for a Friendsgiving. And I told him that I didn't want to go. And I'm going to tell you why I didn't want to go. A couple months earlier, the wife of the man who was hosting the Friendsgiving had been roofied at somebody else's home in the condo complex where they lived. And the people who had hosted that party were being invited to this Friendsgiving. So I think rather understandably, I was like, I don't want to go to that fucking party. Absolutely not. So I didn't. So he was like, well, I'm going to go by myself. I'm not going to be there for very long. I understand why you don't want to go. I'm going to go for a couple hours. I'm like, cool, fine, whatever. Cool with me. So he goes to said party at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. He had told me time and time again that morning that he would be home early because, you see, my mom had died the day after Thanksgiving. At this point in my life, 11 years prior, 10 years prior, something like that. And I was always a little sad around this time of year. The holidays were always a little bit tough for me, and he knew that. So he was like, yeah, I'll be home early, right? Before 10 p.m., okay? So, spoiler alert, he does not come home by 10 p.m. In fact, he ends up calling me at a certain point in the night and saying, hey, we're going out.
Oh, hell no!
Classic. The same old story. I don't want to go, but I also don't want him to go. And when he says, I'll go for a bit and come back, the countdown to the drama has already started. But the guy clearly told her he'd go for a while and come back early. There was no deception or betrayal, just a grown-up decision to socialize without her. And now, just because he decides to stay a little longer, she acts like he committed a war crime. There's no disrespect or lying here, just unmet expectations that she created in her own head.
I thought you were supposed to be home. like an hour ago, but okay, you're going out. Cool, cool, cool. So I'm very much not happy about this because not only is he going back on what he said, but he is going out with two people I don't trust. You know, this guy who had this party that roofied somebody, and also the husband of the wife who got roofied, who, by the way, did not take care of his wife after the roofie and left her at the house, which is a story for another day. I'm like, oh, perfect. Okay, cool. So he goes out. I'm obviously can't tell him not to. He doesn't listen to a fucking thing I say. I let him know that I'm upset about it. He's like, okay, I won't be out for very long. Famous last words. So a couple hours go by, 3 hours go by, 1 o'clock in the morning, I call him. He answers the phone, surprisingly. And he's like, hey, what's up? And it's super loud, you know, whatever. And I'm like, where are you? And I don't remember if he told me where he was or not, but I'm like, are you coming home? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, when are you going to be home? You promised me you would be home at this time. This is something we were working on in couples therapy, was like this compromising, and him basically not just always doing whatever he wanted to do without thinking of me at all. Like that was literally what we were working on in couples therapy.
This is a classic case of, I want to control you, but I'll disguise it as concern. He tells her what he's going to do. She gets mad because he's not doing exactly what she wants, and in the end, he's made out to be the bad guy for not considering her enough. But what about her emotional responsibility? It's not about him doing whatever he wants without thinking of her, but it's also not about her punishing him for not following a schedule like a kid with a curfew. If this was such a huge issue, maybe couples therapy wasn't the solution. Maybe accepting that they just weren't compatible was.
So I like mentioned that, and he's like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And he hangs up the phone. Sipping the tea. So I'm like beside myself, understandably. Also, like, side note, our relationship is not good at this point in time, right? So like, this is like time number 5,000 where he has, you know, really disappointed me, upset me, made me sad, gaslit me, blah, 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 blah. So long story short, this man does not come home at all that night. Not at all. I do not sleep a wink. I am wide awake. I am calling his phone. I think I called him like 14 times. He doesn't answer a single time. Eventually his phone, I think, like started just going to voicemail. So I was like, either he shut it off so that he didn't answer me, or it died. At like 5 or 6 a.m., I start calling his friends and his friends' wives, because I'm like, is this man dead in a ditch somewhere? Like, that's all I can think is he was drinking and drove. He got into a car accident. Something bad happened. He's in jail, like something. So that's where my mind goes. Anyway, I call these people. I text these people. Nobody knows where he is. They've been home. The guys that he was with had been home since like 1 a.m. So now I'm even more nervous, because I'm like, oh, so like you weren't even with your friends. You were just by yourself, God knows where. I'm like, he's cheating on me, which wouldn't have been a new thing. He's God knows where he is, right? The man rolls into the house at 7:30 in the morning. 7:30 in the morning. I did not sleep a single fucking hour. He goes immediately, he comes in the back door. Interesting. Never really came in the back door. Always came in the front door unless he knew something was going on.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Everyone deceives themselves with the lie they like the most, and this is a perfect example. She says, our relationship isn't in a good place right now, but then acts shocked when he decides to do what he wants. Seriously? This wasn't the first sign, or the second. It was number 5,000, according to her own words. And she still expected him to act like the perfect boyfriend? This guy did what he did because he was fed up. I'm not saying cheating is right, but when a relationship is nothing but fights, drama, and control, people look for an escape. If she had been feeling disappointed, manipulated, and sad for years, why was she still there? The answer is simple. Because playing the victim is easier than admitting they had both been dragging these problems along for a long time.
And just creeps downstairs into his bedroom, but he's fucking wasted. So I hear him. Of course I hear him. He's not being subtle like he thinks he is. He's like opening drawers in his dresser, slamming them. And I go downstairs and I'm like, I told you if you did this one more time, it would be over. By the way, that is true. Like I had already said, if you pull this stunt one more time, this is not the first time you did that. If you pull this stunt one more time, I am done. I have given you a non-negotiable and a boundary for this relationship. And if you step over that boundary again, you are done. We are done. And he did. He stepped over that boundary, blatantly stepped over that boundary. And he's like, can't even make eye contact with me. He's like, I know. And I'm like, where were you? Get this. He passed out at a strip club. By the way, this had become a pattern in his life. Not the passing out at strip club part, but going to strip clubs, that part. When he had always told me, oh, I hate strip clubs. They're so disgusting. I would never go to a strip club unless it was for like a bachelor party or something. No, this man was going to a lot of strip clubs at this point in time. And had passed out in like a booth or something at the strip club. At 5 a.m., somebody found him, like the owner found him or this group of people found him or something and dragged him to a diner because he was so fucked up. They had to feed him and then put him in an Uber and he went home. 34-year-old man. Cool. Love that for you. So anyway, that was the last straw for me. There were many, many, many other straws before that, but that was the last one. I wish it had ended far sooner than that. I wish I hadn't stayed for as long as I did, but I finally kicked him out. And there are more stories where that came from, so stay tuned.
Ah, the classic never-ending story. I fell for the bad boy, put up with him for years, and now I'm shocked that he's still a bad boy. Lady, you didn't marry a Tibetan monk. You married a guy with a clear pattern of behavior. And what did you do? Nothing, until the 1,000th drop finally spilled over the glass. So why did she stay? Because drama is addictive, and because they always think they'll be the one to change him. But when the wolf stays a wolf, instead of admitting they married a predator, they'd rather play the victim. Girl, you signed that contract with your heart, and now you're complaining about the price. So, brothers, did he really deceive her with his personality, or did she just ignore all the signs because she loved the ride? And that's a wrap, but now it's your turn. Was that a divorce or a well-planned heist? And why do so many women think they can fix a bad boy, only to end up regretting it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear what you think. If this video hit home, show some love. Smash that like button, subscribe to the wall, and hit the notification bell so YouTube doesn't try to hide the truth from you.